Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the water shader. So here's the finished shader, and these are the nodes for it. The first thing is, my basic approach to water is usually just smash a bump map on a glossy, so that's where we'll start. Got a glossy shader here, just basic, and then 0.038 roughness, and then a bump map. Now the bump map is made up of two different scales of noise being mixed by a Musgrave texture. So we've got this size noise and a smaller version, and they're being mixed together by this texture. So you can see there's some still areas and some more turbulent areas. It just breaks things up a bit around here. Now the Musgrave texture looks like this. This is what I'm using to blend between the two different scales of noise. These are the settings here if you want to pause. The thing I've done with it is I've used a generated textures, but rather than going straight into the mapping node, I've used a color mix, and then I've mixed 0.3, just a little bit of a random noise in with it. Blend interprets RGB colors as vectors if you plug them into these nodes. So I can control with this how much of the vector is coming from the generated and how much is coming from the noise texture. So if we look at the texture, if I set this to 0, this is what the actual Musgrave texture looks like. And then as I increase this, it gets warped because I'm adding more and more of this noise texture into it. This is one technique to control your randomness. If you just want to warp things a little bit but not overdo it, use a mix node and mix between your regular coordinates and then some form of noise. So we've got the glossy shader, and then I'm mixing that with a refraction BSDF. And this is kind of the deep water stuff. Fairly low roughness, and I've put the IRR to 1.33 for water. And then I'm mixing between these two with a Fresnel, and I've plugged the bump for the glossy here, two different noise textures, into the Fresnel, so it takes into account all of the waves and stuff instead of just being a smooth. So in the Fresnel node here, when the view gets to black, then more of the refraction BSDF comes through, and when it goes off to white at the glancing angles and sort of at the crests of things, we get this glossy shader which is more reflective and more what you see when you look at shallow angles towards deep water. And then this is the final. Now this last stage here is I'm mixing this with a transparent shader. This is for the shoreline, and using the same trick as the grunge group, I've got the position, then I've put it through mapping node and extracted the Z coordinates, and then I've used color ramp to tighten it up so that right here is the edge of my shoreline, and then I'm using this texture here as a factor for a mix node between the water shader I just created and this transparent shader. So what this does is, at the edge of the water, it fades the water off a bit. And then that combined with the grungy wet map on the concrete, the edge of the water lines up with where the concrete has this grunge on it, so that the effect is that the shoreline is affecting the water because you can see through it a bit at the edge, and the water is affecting the concrete by making it wet, which is what the grunge group was doing in that material. So that's everything I wanted to show you. Thanks for watching. I'm not sure what I'll be doing next week, but I'll go over one of my projects and find something interesting to dig out. Alright, see ya.